Welcome to Gate City Insider. I'm Rosemary Plyman. So glad to have you with us today. When you welcome a new baby into the family, it is a very, very big deal. There are so many things to do to get ready. You think about the bed, the clothes, the car seat, the diapers. But even more important than all those things are the mother and baby's health, a plan for caring for the child, and support around the whole family. These are the very first steps to support a child in their growth, development, and their readiness for school. Perhaps you've heard of Ready for School, Ready for Life, a local nonprofit committed to connecting families with the resources they need for healthy development and life. Charrise Hart is CEO of Ready for School, Ready for Life. Welcome.
Thank you.
So glad to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so what is Ready for School, Ready for Life?
Yes, we have a very interesting name, but our mission is that we are a collaborative effort to build an innovative system of care for Guilford County's youngest children and their families. And so our belief is that all children deserve a healthy start in life, and we focus on ages prenatal to age 8, and we just want to ensure that all children have access to adequate health care and education.
So let's talk a little history. How did Ready for School, Ready for Life get its start here in Guilford County?
Yes, thank you for asking. So actually we started with just a series of focus groups and community conversations with business leaders, higher education, parent leaders, the faith community, human services workers. And we all came together and we wanted to determine what were the greatest needs for families and children in the prenatal to age 8 space. And what they told us was that they were having trouble navigating the system of care. There are over 700 nonprofit organizations in Guilford County. It's a lot. And so we are considered what we would call resource rich, but access poor. Mm-hmm. And so what was happening is that families were falling in the gaps of all of these connections and systems that we have. And so our goal at Ready for School, Ready for Life is to strengthen that system. Over time, we formed our own 501c3 in 2018, and we've grown quite a bit staff-wise from just a small staff of like 5 staff members up to 21, and that is because we want to strengthen services so that all families have access to those services.
Now, this is not a unique problem to Guilford County. This is something that is happening all over the country, all over the world, likely.
That is correct. So it's not unique to Guilford County, the issue per se, but the initiative is unique.
And so why Guilford County? Why start it here?
Yes, we were really excited to have this opportunity in Guilford County. And actually there's only one other organization in the entire country doing similar work to Ready for School, Ready for Life, and they are called Tulsa Best, based out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. We formed our own 501c3 or nonprofit organization in 2018 because we were selected as Guilford County because of our demographics, our higher education system, our school system, and we were identified as a place where if we can make a difference in Guilford County, we could also make a difference and replicate across the state and eventually the entire country.
Yeah, of course, because Guilford County has, is a some mid-sized cities. It's large, but not too big, and it has a small town feel kind of to it as well. We have urban areas, we have rural areas, we have a large number of children in schools and a lot of number of multi-generational families. So there's a lot to work with here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's a major reason why we were selected.
That's a really good thing. Okay, so we're talking big change that you want to make. I mean, we're talking starting before birth to helping children succeed in life. That's a huge range of life to work with. And as you said, a lot of nonprofits already working in that space. How did you get started? Where is the work now?
Yes. So our big goal at Ready for School, Ready for Life is to ensure that all children are prepared for kindergarten. 80% of brain development happens before the age of 3. So think about that, 80%, that's a lot.
Lots of neurons firing there.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if we can reach children prenatally to age 3 and invest most of our dollars and resources in that age range, then just think about the impact we could have. So our mission and our goal is really not to be in the business of starting new programs. As I mentioned earlier, those 700 nonprofits that exist in Guilford County, we're actually in the business of identifying programs that work, that have proven to be successful, and we want to encourage them to work together and expand their outreach so that they can serve all children prenatally to age 3.
And so you found that there were particularly some programs that were really supporting those very young children that that were doing a great job, but maybe weren't connecting with each other. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So there were 3 programs that we identified that were doing such an amazing job, and then we did add a 4th to bring them together. So the first program is Family Connects, and that program is actually based out of the Guilford County Health Department, and what it does is that anytime someone has given birth, a nurse has reached out to them in the hospital and says, I'm going to visit you once you get home within the next 3 weeks. And if the mother and the family says yes, that nurse actually visits the home and does almost what we call an informal wellness check with the family, and to check for postpartum depression, just check on the baby, lactation support.
They came to my house. I remember they weighed the babies. That was a huge thing for me because I had preemies.
Wow,
So
wow, that's amazing.
It's a great service, yeah.
It is an amazing service. And so then the next program that we have is called Healthy Steps program, which the Healthy Steps program is based out of pediatric practices. So once you've had that baby, you're actually able to connect with a Healthy Steps specialist in a pediatric practice, and they're able to do check-ins with the mom or the parents and the baby to make sure that they are developmentally on track. The other program that we have is our Nurse Family Partnership program, which is based out of an organization called Children and Families First, formerly known as Guilford Child Development. And what it does is it actually works with mothers when they're expecting all the way up until the baby turns or the child turns age 2, and they are able to do weekly or every other week home visits with families to help them make sure that they have all the resources they need. So here's the glue that brings all of this together, which is our community-based navigation program. We actually embed navigators in OBGYN practices across Guilford County, so that when the mother is, meeting with her OBGYN, that physician can do what they do best, which is provide health care, but the navigator can help the mother or the parents to be navigate that system of care and tell them about all the amazing services they're going to receive once the child is born.
Then you're answering that question that came to you from the very beginning from families saying, we know there are things out there, but we don't know how to connect to them. So that's what the connector is. So how is this working? I mean, how many were they serving before? Were these individual agencies serving? And then how has that changed since they've all come together?
Right. Now, there is a possibility for duplication in our numbers. However, in about 2019, 2020, those programs were serving about 4,000 children. But because of our ability to encourage them to work collaboratively and expand their outreach, they're now serving about 20,000 children in our community.
That's a huge increase. That is a lot of fun. How can families access these Roots to Ready?
Yes. So one thing I'm really proud of is that we are in about 88% of OBGYN practices in Guilford County. So you'll be able to connect with the navigator if you're in one of the 15 or 14 OBGYN practices in our community. So if you're expecting, just ask your provider, is Roots to Ready or Routes to Ready available to me? And if so, then they will connect you with that navigator. And also, if you're meeting with your pediatrician, or if you're at the hospital, you can say, I want to access Roots to Ready or Routes to Ready, and I would love to be a part of this collaborative.
This sounds like a good time to kind of interject a program that we've all heard a lot about through Ready for School, Ready for Life, the basics. And I feel like maybe you didn't even know that was Ready for School, Ready for Life, but you've heard about the basics. And this really targets that 0 to 3 age range. What is the basics? How does it work?
Yes, so the basics are basically 5 easy activities that caregivers and parents can use with the little ones in their life. And basically the focus is, no pun intended, but basically the focus is, really encouraging parents to start working on those pre-literacy skills and engaging and bonding with their children. Some of those example activities are talk, sing, and point, or explore movement through play, maximize love and reduce stress. And so what we want to do is just encourage parents to just think outside of the box and know that every little activity counts. So here's an example. Let's say that there is someone preparing dinner and they're making macaroni. Well, one thing that children love to do is they love to help their parents prepare or help out in the kitchen or cook. And so one thing that they can do is while a parent is making the macaroni, they can provide, maybe give them 10 to 20 macaroni noodles and just say, why don't you help me count those out while I get this started? And children, their eyes light up, they start counting the noodles, and then you can make a song out of it, and they just feel like they're a part of the process. And so that's what the basics are about.
Even before they can count, they can kind of pretend count.
Exactly, exactly.
Pretend measure, all of that kinds of things.
Exactly.
I know that you're trying to build a system. So we talked a little bit about that, but what does that really mean in practice? What does that look like?
Yes. And so one point I'd like to highlight is that the early childhood system is really, it's broken. And so our goal at Ready for School, Ready for Life is to strengthen that system and really rebuild it. And it's really a combination or a collaboration of the healthcare system, the early childhood education system, and thinking about the school system, and also government and community resources. How can everyone work collaboratively to build an early childhood system of care? It's really weak, or in some communities, they don't really exist. And so our goal is to just bring everyone to the table, work together, and build that system of care for our youngest children.
Part of doing this means getting data and really being able to track the data, be able to follow the data and use it to help families, not just in a lab. I mean, needs to go out and be of use to people. So talk about what this data system that you're a part of.
Yes, and so our data system is actually one of the most exciting components of our work at Ready for School, Ready for Life. The integrated data system is actually going to be what I call a triple win for families, healthcare providers, and human services providers. And so basically it's a data system that's going to start capturing information when families are expecting their little one all the way up to age 8, and we hope to work with other programs in the community to continue that beyond age 8, what we call cradle to career continuum. But this data system is a win for families because they're going to be able to access an app through their phone, and every time they meet with a provider and a referral is made, they will get an alert. They will also receive an email on where the service is and what type of service they're being referred to, and also it will document whether or not families have contacted that resource. It's a win for providers because they're sharing information between nonprofit organizations and sometimes government organizations like the health department. And then it's a win for Ready for School, Ready for Life because we're going to be able to determine how many touch points does it take in the life of a child to ensure that they are prepared for kindergarten. So, and we're not going to be able to look at a child's name, but instead they'll be provided an anonymous or unique identifier. So it provides confidentiality for the child so that Ready can access this data, but I won't know who the child is. Right. We're just only looking at data or large data, but the families will be able to know what their child's needs are and how they are actually benefiting from those services.
And where to find those. Again, we go back to the very beginning when you ask parents and families, what do you need? What do you see as the problems? And they said, well, we know there are things out there, but we don't know how to access them. We don't know what is there or what can help us. And so then it is kind of in a place that's all at their fingertips and they know where to look or where to at least start asking the questions.
Exactly.
Lots of good stuff. Okay, well, we're just diving in. We just put our pinky toe into the work of Ready for School, Ready for Life. And we're going to talk a little bit more about school in particular, because that is a major milestone for parent and for child, for the whole family, actually for a community. School is such an important part about the whole community. So after the break, we're going to dive into Ready's work around kindergarten readiness. So stay with us. Welcome back to Gate City Insider. We're talking with Charrise Hart today, CEO of Ready for School, Ready for Life. Kindergarten is a really big step for children and for families, and readiness is a big focus for the organization. Kindergarten readiness. Okay, Charisse, what does that mean to be kindergarten ready?
Yes, well, there's several ways for children to be prepared for kindergarten. One, we want to make sure that children are actually talking, they're actually engaging and playing with other children, and they're actually on tracks socially and emotionally. But one of the main indicators or assessments that is used to assess kindergarten readiness or preparedness is what is called DIBELS, or Dynamic Indicators for Basic Early Literacy Skills. And so what's interesting is that we've noticed a trend over the years in those DIBELS scores.
Okay, so what is that trend? What are you saying?
Yes, so prior to COVID, we noticed that there was only about 50% of children considered prepared for kindergarten right before the pandemic. And then after the pandemic, we noticed that that percentage decreased significantly to about 27%.
Okay, a lot of parents are hearing this and thinking, or hear that maybe even when their children go to kindergarten and think they have failed. But that is not the case. Again, this is all about connecting to the resources, and this is a community issue to get children ready. This is not a parent problem.
That is correct. This is not a parent problem, and I'm so glad that you raised that. This is something that has happened all across our country. Children have really been severely impacted by COVID. But now we have the opportunity to really come together as a community and elevate those scores and elevate children so that they can be prepared and successful. And so one of the ways that we're doing that is, as I stated before, Ready Ready has placed a very strong emphasis on prenatal to age 3. But we want to make sure as children grow up with us in our community that we're also providing services centered on ages 3 to 5. And so that's one of our main focus areas today.
Okay, so where are we? What's happening with those 3 to 5-year-olds?
Yes, so right now we are conducting a series of pilots focused on a few key areas. One is social emotional development. We want to focus on the pre-K to kindergarten transition. And then we also want to focus on the early childhood workforce. Those are 3 key areas to ensure that children in that age range are going to be prepared. But lastly, one of the most exciting and easiest ways for people to grasp onto kindergarten preparedness is early literacy.
So how do you do that? How do we all do better as a community with early literacy?
Oh, wow. There's so many different ways to be involved and engaged. And so we mentioned earlier about the basics, which is centered on pre-literacy and using steps to start communicating with your children. But really, Ready Ready is going to be launching a series of passing out books or books on break, because what happens is children get all this amazing education and love and care all the way up to pre-K. But then what happens is they go on summer break like everyone else, and then they're expected to be prepared for kindergarten. So all that learning is lost. And so what we're trying to do is ensure that parents continue the learning, continue the excitement, and continue engaging with their children up until that first day of school and beyond.
So read to them.
Absolutely.
Read to them.
Keep reading.
Read signs to them. Read labels at the grocery store. Again, that's still fun. You point, talk, sing.
And go back and remind them. So say, remember we saw that fire truck in our book today. There's a real life fire truck.
Right.
Little things to bring that literacy into reality.
Reinforcing it, that you use it in real life. Those are school skills translate to real life as well. How's Ready Ready making sure? Things are always changing, right? The nonprofit world is always changing. There are new people things coming into the spaces. How do you stay relevant? How do you still make sure you're staying impactful?
Yes, and so Ready Ready, this work is not something that's going to change overnight, although I wish it could.
Right.
It's just not. But there are ways for us to stay engaged and to make sure that we're still relevant and impactful. And one of those ways is that we do have what is called a Guilford Parent Leader Network. And that network is about 30 parents from communities in Greensboro and High Point that come together to tell us at Ready for School, Ready for Life, our staff, our board, the broader community, what it is that they need. So the parents that we interviewed in 2014, their children are, probably close to graduating high school now, or, are in the 3rd grade and beyond. Well, we need new parents to tell us what are they seeing, especially those who have encountered the pandemic with their young learners. And so what we do is we have a meeting once a month with those parents, And they're actually identifying key issues and telling us how they are experiencing the services that we offer. And we actually have a committee that convenes on a periodic basis, and they listen to that parent feedback, and they want to respond to parents, whether it's, they would like more time with the navigator, or whether it's, there's some questions that they feel like they would love to lean into a little bit more in conversations with their healthcare providers. That information goes to that committee, and then we share that with healthcare providers, human services clinicians or providers, so that we can strengthen services for our parents and children.
Along those same lines, how are you ensuring that services are really getting to the people who need them, and that it's equitable?
Absolutely. So one way is our data system. So we want to make sure that there are some areas in our community and zip code areas that need more services than others. So our data system keeps us accountable for that. But also we want to make sure that we're being true to our values and principles. And one of those is that we are equity driven. We want to be transparent, and we want to be parent led. And so we want to make sure that our parents have a voice at all levels in the organization. So they serve on staff, they serve on our board, they serve on the network, and we've actually even encouraged them to participate in board leadership training. So they not only serve on the Ready for School, Ready for Life board of directors, but other community boards throughout Guilford County.
Right, because they have their pulse on a lot that's going on, and their input is really valuable. Of course, we want this to be long-lasting change, just not for now. So what does that look like as Ready's role grows or changes over the years?
So right now, we just started with our first, what we call Ready babies being tracked in the data system.
Oh, wow.
So this year was a significant year, a significant win for us. But we want this work to continue. And so let's say a child turns age 8 and they've been through that Roots to Ready or Routes to Ready system with us. Well, we want to make sure there's a smooth transition in that cradle to career continuum. So building relationships with the Guilford County school system. They have been phenomenal and excellent supporters of our work, and also other organizations like Shift Ed that are doing a phenomenal job of looking at the K through 12 space and ensuring that children have the resources they need. We want to make a smooth transition and handoff.
Okay, so how can people get involved? I mean, we've talked a little bit about how to access some of the services, but if people are looking to do more, maybe advocate or help in bigger ways.
Absolutely. So if someone is a parent or caregiver of a child prenatally to age 8, they are more than welcome to join our Guilford Parent Leader Network. We also have a series of committees, like our Equity Strategies Committee. We have a System Building Committee, and people are more than welcome to join that. And we also have a series of focus groups and task forces, because right now we're designing and getting ready to implement ages 3 to 5. But what happens in ages 5 to 8? So we're looking for community voice and input as we design the strategy moving forward.
As you've been with the organization 4 years now, what has driven you? Like, is there a particular? Are there moments? Is it the big picture? What is it that kind of keeps you moving and keeps this work going for you?
Yes, that's a great question. There's a lot that keeps me motivated. I would say looking at the small wins and adding that up to the big picture is huge for me. And I am a Guilford County native, and so coming back to my home community has really just given me the motivation to make change. But I think the greatest motivator is the fact that working in the nonprofit sector for nearly 15 years now has really allowed me to see the difference in this type of work and other positions that I've been in. One that stands out is the fact that as a CEO, you constantly go back to your funders and say, we've achieved our goal for this year, but I still need your funding to continue making an impact. So you're just kind of just addressing the immediate need. And we need our nonprofits and our government agencies to do that. But the unique aspect of Ready is that we're doing the immediate, but we're also thinking about the long term. This is long-term systemic change. And so I wanted the opportunity to make a long-lasting impact, not just the immediate.
Yeah, and you talked about investments, and can you talk about how an investment in early childhood pays off not just now, but for businesses down the road too?
Absolutely. It's not just, thinking about the human services aspect. It's also an economic development issue. And so I raised earlier that 80% of brain development happens before the age of 3. So if we can put most of our investment and our dollars into that age range, think about the returns that we will get. And there are a few statistics on that. Dr. James Heckman, is an economist, a famous economist who's talked about this. And he talks about the dollars that you invest earlier have the greatest return over a lifetime.
Wow. I mean, and then again, if you just, I know you have pictures of the brain development of a child, and when you see that, you can't not want to do something more. I mean, even if it's just when you see a baby in the grocery store, point at something and say, look, red,
yes.
or
Yes.
red strawberries or whatever. So anyway, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Thank you for all the work that you're doing in this community. We look forward to hearing about all the big strides, and we hope you'll come back and share more as your work changes and as we're doing better as a community to support families and children, and all of us, really. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. Okay, so if you want to learn more or get involved, the place to go, getreadyguilford.org. Once again, you can learn how to get involved. You can give, or just stay in touch with the movement and be a part of that as well. Thank you so much for spending a little of your time with us today. For all of us at Greensboro Television Network, have a great day.